All right, welcome to another episode of Always Be Racing. I am Blackjack Fletcher. He is Chase Sessoms down in somewhere, Arkansas. I forgot, if we're being honest. I just forgot.
You live in Sarasota. No big deal. No big deal that I know that, and you don't know where I live.
I knew you lived in Arkansas.
That's fair. That's better than most people.
I get credit for that. So we got Chase here with us. We're going to jump right into this because the Pick 5 is starting momentarily at Oaklawn. We both have tickets. There is Chase's. There's mine. His, the value play at $9 there. Although I'll tell you, we have a lot of the same stuff going on here. I just obviously went a little bit deeper, but I think most of our top choices will be the same, with one exception. Chase, tell them why you like the 9 so much in the fourth leg of this thing.
I thought Urbanite looked like a sharp closer. Quite honestly, with Urbanite, I kind of like that it's first off the claim. I also like the win percentage for shippers for John Cox, and worked decent over the local track. Good speed figures to go with it too. Should get the pace set up, the same kind of pace setup that Pepper Pike gets.
Okay, I like it. I think these are going to be competitive races. I'm looking forward to them. Oaklawn always been good to us. Was good to me in particular last week. $1,800 winner off a $90 ticket. So I'm not saying that I'm not promising that's going to happen again, of course. But if it did and you didn't play it, you're going to feel pretty stupid.
I think you could have bought a fair to poor condition 1990s Miata with those winnings.
You're right. I could have. Hey, brother, cheers. This is happy hour racing.
Cheers.
Here we go.
Yeah, this first race, it's a short sprint, and it's just loaded with horses that absolutely need the lead here. And so when that happens, and there's no one really that you think will be a horse to pick up the pieces, you just kind of got to go with speed of speed. And I think the board has it right here with the 3.
Yep.
My boy Gus. And as I was watching the track feed earlier, they were playing Paul Simon's 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. So I think we might be doing a hop on the bus, Gus, here. So I've got a little exacta play. I'm going with 3 over 5-6. I
am riding the Pick 5. I'm going to be conservative here today, saving my bullets for tomorrow. Clash for Cash. Make sure you tune in, 3:15 Eastern. I will be defending my undisputed Clash for Cash World Championship against Bremont of Stable Duel at Tampa Bay Downs tomorrow at 3:15. Make sure you tune in. It's going to be a spectacle. Really, it's going to be fantastic.
We're talking cage match, foreign objects, people flying off the top ropes.
Chase, I can't make any guarantees about what's going to happen. I mean, as much of a wild card as I am, she's equally that much of a wild card.
Man, I'm going to be honest. I think if Bremont gets you in a sharpshooter, you're tapping, buddy.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And it looks like it's just me now. I got a lot of comments about my body English on races last week with the hard lean, so I'm doing my best to sit straight up for this one.
I'm back.
He's back.
Yeah, I listen. It's going to be crazy. She's a wild card. I'm a lunatic. It's going to be a lot of fun at Tampa. Great racing with Kentucky Derby points on the line. So make sure you tune in tomorrow, 3:15, Clash for Cash number 1 of 2021. Chase, let's welcome in our guest today, the incredibly talented Megan Devine with us.
Hey guys.
Megan, how you doing?
Hello. I'm doing well. I'm just listening to you hyping up your match with Bremont. I don't know, like Bree's a tough girl,
Listen.
So
I have had some run-ins with Bree. She and I are on the same cloth, and that terrifies me because
it should for sure.
I mean, like I don't know. She asked me last night, what's going to happen if I beat you? And I said, I honestly don't know. It's going to be a very dark day. Like, I don't know. And people I've ever faced in this, she's the one I'm most concerned about losing to, because if I do lose to her, she's going to talk about it nonstop.
Forever.
I will never hear the end of this.
Yeah, for the rest of your life.
She's an avid tweeter. There's going to be a lot of tweeting going on.
Like me randomly on a Tuesday and be like, "Hey, remember that time when I beat you at Tampa?" And it's just gonna like ruin my whole day.
For sure. Hi, Chase, is it?
Yes.
I was going to call you Wolf, but like I didn't know what the formality was there.
I save that for special occasions, really.
Okay, good to know. Well,
Hello,
nice
we're-
to meet you. This is our first time together.
Yeah. Nice to
Also
meet you as
running
well.
At Oaklawn coming down the stretch here. And Chase, we may be done before we got started here.
Yep, and friend
Oh,
of the show,
no.
Jason Barkley, just got a big price home here.
Okay,
with
well,
the
you know what?
6.
That's a problem for me because I told Jason Barkley in week 1. You heard it, Chase. The whole world heard it. I said, if you've got a live one, Jason, what are you supposed to do? Text me. You're supposed to tell me. Okay, so when Jason's got a horse going off at 22-1 and I got nothing, that's a problem.
Standard rules apply for all guests. If you're strolling around the paddock at Santa Anita or wherever you stock, go ahead and if you see a sprinter with a big old butt on it that looks like it's ready to go, just send the love our way, man.
All right. Well, our pick 5s are dead. Megan, I know you've prepared for the pick 4. We've got a little bit of time here. Tell everybody, you were a host of TVG. Believe you've moved out of sunny California out to Lexington, Kentucky.
Woo!
Tell
Close.
everyone, close enough. Tell
Close,
everyone
yeah.
what you're doing these days, where they can find you, what you've been up to.
Yeah, for sure. So I still work for TVG, but obviously in the day and age of COVID, everything is remote. So I do it from right here in Louisville, Kentucky, where I moved back to. I'm from New York originally, but came to Louisville to go to college here and went to the equine program at U of L, which is fantastic, just by Churchill Downs. And then moved out to California for a couple of years, was there at Santa Anita and then TVG, got started there. And moved back this way because why not?
So
This is the industry, right? Like if you want to be in horses, really, you have to be here in Kentucky, and you can be in Lexington or Louisville. To me, I have more roots in Louisville, so I decided to stay here. So live on my little farm, 10-acre farm here. We've got 4.5 horses, 7 goats, 30 chickens, 4 ducks, 2 rabbits, and 2 dogs.
Yeah, I watched a video you posted on Instagram of, I believe, you working at your desk, and there was a chicken.
Yes, there
on
was.
the
There
desk.
was a chicken. Yeah,
That was terrifying, Megan.
It was, yeah, a little. You got to get used to it for sure. I thought I was afraid of birds because like ostriches freak me out. Have you ever?
they're
been
just
around
living
one?
dinosaurs. They're terrifying.
They are.
Yes,
Look at
Chase.
their legs. They're insane.
Yes.
When I was at Ellis Park, they were like, "Do you want to ride the ostriches for the ostrich races?" And I was like,
Hell no.
I don't want to go near that thing." Yeah. So, but the smaller birds are okay. It's very exciting. We now have like farm fresh eggs. So the like hippie in me is coming out. It's really exciting.
So you're a New York girl. You've spent time in California at Santa Anita. Also, I mean, college days in Louisville. Time with the Kentucky tracks. What's your favorite circuit of the 3?
That's a good question. I mean, probably Kentucky, just because of the product that you get. Like, you have bigger fields, you've got the racing at Keeneland and Churchill Downs, and then Ellis has gotten really good over the past couple of years and all of that. So I'd say Kentucky, but I feel like my strengths are actually in California. It's just harder because, the racing the fields aren't as big, the racing isn't as diverse. And so, but I feel like with the time that I spent there, I did pretty darn well at Santa Anita with my pick 4s and whatever else. So I seem to have developed quite a knack for the California racing circuit, but I think my heart's always been here in Kentucky for sure.
California racing is just I feel like it's a different animal, and especially now with the new whip laws, like even just like the optics of the race have changed. They just don't. It doesn't even look the same, in terms of the product you get. But there are times where I'm a big fan of Santa Anita. I feel like there's they should probably just send out a blanket press release every day that says Superfecta wagering has been canceled at Santa Anita because of the size of the fields.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so hard, right? Like geographically, they're screwed. You're on an island out there. You don't have the ability to travel like we do here. And if you do, it's up to Golden Gate. It's, Turf Paradise and whatever. And just the racing quality is so different. So it's extremely hard. I wish they had a training center out there, closer than San Luis Rey, which is a little bit further away that they could kind of train like they do here in Kentucky with the Thoroughbred Training Center, the Spectrum. And yeah, it just sucks. They need more real estate. They need to turn that parking lot in the back into more stables, into more barns, and have a training center. And the racing in California would shoot it up.
Chase,
Take note, Melinda. Take note, Melinda Stronach.
Yeah. I almost made a bad joke there, but I didn't. Credit to me.
Why are you holding yourself back now, Blackjack?
Nope. Learned that lesson the hard way. Chase,
you've tamed. You've settled since our last live stream.
You started, different employer. Chase, you started to make an interesting point, and then you lost the thread there. We'll have to work on that. Megan, Chase mentioned the whip rules in California. Thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I think that I wish that rules weren't made to try to please certain groups, right? Like we're never going to please PETA, so let's just stop right there. I mean, I think that regulations have to be in place, certainly, because there are times, depending on the rider and the track and all of that, where it's overused. Yeah. But it's also horses are fight or flight animals, and I myself was an avid jumper, very competitively, and like we use whips in that too. And a lot of times it's one for the safety of the rider, and two to steer the horse a little bit if they're kind of lugging out or they're going to take a bad step, run into something else, or run into the rail. You correct them with that, because jockeys also don't have the ability to use leg pressure, which is something that the rest of anybody that rides any other horse, you have your legs. With the stirrup so high, jockeys don't have that. So you're taking away, not only have you taken away the legs, now you've taken away the whip as well. So all they have to use is their hands and their voice. And that's very hard. And I think it can put jockeys in a precarious situation. Additionally, I think it's a tool to help educate horses a lot of times. And I've even thought about it when I've been doing some bloodstock work here in Kentucky and looking at horses that sales, like those, certainly every horse can have an off day and the sales are very rigorous, but I am looking for horses that walk with a lot of propulsion naturally through themselves, because if we're not going to have whips and we're not going to have that tool to educate these horses and to get every last ounce of energy out of them, then I think you have to really be particular with the type of bloodstock that you're buying. Like, I don't want to see a horse that's a little sluggish, that is a little lazy, because it's just a habit. They all have their unique personalities, and we just do our best to try to optimize their performances.
What do you think it does to California horses when they are coming east for big races? And now, if you're a jockey, like let's say you've got a horse on the California circuit and he makes it to the Kentucky Derby, do you use the stick in the Derby? Do you not? I mean, like, how does that affect the rider's mindset?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the difference too, because are you using it in training? Are you not using it at all? So I think it's a benefit that they're able to use it when they go other places. But you also want to have a horse used to it. So you're going to have used it within training. You don't want to use it for the first time, which wouldn't happen, because when they're being, broke as yearlings, 2-year-olds, etc., like they would likely have the whip used on them at some point to understand to move forward. So horses want to run, like naturally they want to run, but you also have to teach them like timing and I don't know. And have you ever had a coach in your life that was like, "Hey, man, if you're running track or whatever, like give it your all on the last bit of the race."
I'm going to take a wild guess and say that neither Blackjack nor I have ever run a track event.
I have not, but I played basketball in high school, and the coach did actually use a whip on us. So,
there you go.
There.
I have a good friend,
on the court or locker room.
Caleb Knight, who does streams with me for On the Wrong Lead, he brought up an interesting point with the whip rule, was that, not only these younger horses that are on the Derby trail, but let's talk about, 4-year-old, 5-year-old and up claimers who have been trained to respond to the whip. And now you're going out and you're racing and you're taking away, something they've been trained to respond to. So I think it really, it's less noticeable with these younger horses that don't have the years of conditioning. But when you get into what the majority of racing is claiming races, I think it really is a big deal.
No, I agree. I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't want it to be overused. And you only see that, I think, like seldomly and bad riders, in my opinion. But a good rider is going to use the whip as a benefit, as a good tool, and not kill the horse with it. So and I say that figuratively because
Yes.
I just, so I wish that this wasn't an issue. And I honestly think that there's a lot of people that were making the rules on this that have never been on a horse a day in their life.
Yep.
And I think that that's a really big mistake.
Let me ask you one more serious question, Megan, before we turn.
I wasn't prepared for this. I didn't know we were getting into this conversation.
I know. I listen. I'm
right off the bat.
I don't fancy myself Walter Cronkite either, but we're talking about California racing, and it's a subject that I've got opinions on. What do you think is the long-term future of racing in that state? Because it's kind of tenuous right now, right?
Yeah. It's really hard because it's such a liberal state in so many ways, and there are groups out there that want to use taking down racing as part of their political gain. I mean, for a while there, when we were going through that spell at Santa Anita with all the issues with the track and the breakdowns and all of that, I mean, there were news crews that would like sit out in the parking lot, and when the siren would go off, like a rider came off or a horse got loose in the barn area or something, they would run to the track and be like, "Where's the dead horse?" And you're like, "No, there's no dead horse. It's just this is like our everyday thing." But they're out to get them, and then in LA County as well, there was a guy running for some sort of office, and on his agenda was to eliminate horse racing in Los Angeles. Well, Santa Anita is actually in Arcadia, so it's not even in Los Angeles, but like it was something to get eyeballs and get people stirred up about, right? And I just think there's so much of that happens in that state that it's really hard, and then when you had prior management looking to please some of those radical groups, I think that did a real disservice to the track, and it hurt them in many, many ways. And they also brought on some people to the board, to the decision-making boards that also had nothing to do with racing as well. So again, you have these people that don't know the sport, they don't know, and not to say that there's that outside influence or opinion is never helpful. I'm not saying we should be totally tunnel visioned, but education is really important. And I'm terrified of the less educated voices being the loudest in our sport. And I think we're experiencing that here in Kentucky with the historical horse racing as well.
Yeah.
And also in the U.S. House of Representatives.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
All right,
so horse racing, it's not exclusive to horse racing, but we're certainly experiencing a lot of the same things. And so it's important for us to all use our platform and try to try to help in any ways that we can, and also promote it to people and get people involved that might have prior misconceptions about it. I can't tell you how many Ubers I've been in where they're like, "What do you do?" And I tell them I'm in horse racing, and they're like, "Oh, I heard that they kill the horses, whatever." I'm like, "No, let me tell you," So it's you could take the time to educate people in a way that I think is really helpful, and I try to do that just as a personal platform.
And you mentioned Santa Anita, and I'll give credit where it's due. I think the Stronach Group has done a very good job at that track of making it. I think Santa Anita is now the safest track to run at in the United States. I mean, I think they do more to protect those animals than anyone else. But
certainly there's been so much done.
The question that I really want to know the answer to, Megan, and this may be the hardest question you've ever been asked.
Okay.
You've been at TVG for many years now. If you had the opportunity to fight one person there, fist fight, bare knuckles, who is it, and why is it not Carruthers?
I don't have anything against Matt.
What about
I'm going to leave that up to you, Blackjack. Why don't you challenge him in one of your in the thing that you're doing?
I would challenge anybody. Okay. I'm a fighting champion.
Go ahead then. Just channel that anger and frustration that way.
Are you sure? Because Carruthers has the haircut that makes me feel like he thinks way too highly of himself.
But I have better hair, so like I'm not.
It's good flow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next question: who has the best hair at TVG? Is it you or Caleb Keller?
No, it's me for sure. Yeah,
Caleb,
but like
Caleb's got impressive height.
Caleb, he's got the little like flip,
It's impressive height on that hair.
A little bit.
It's very good Charlotte 2005 faux hawk thing. Caleb's got going.
It's subtle though, I mean, it's like regular hair, but then a little bit of tood up top.
Yeah. All right, let's dive into this pick 4, Megan. I know you've spent time on this. Jason Barkley just blew up the pick 5. Thanks a lot, Jason.
Good old J Bark. I went to college with Jason, so happy to see him doing well.
He was our first guest on this show, and he screwed me real good there. So let's take a look at race 2 here, the opening leg of this pick 4. We've got about 16 minutes to post. This race to me looks kind of wide open, Megan. How do you see it?
Well, as I was handicapping the sequence that you assigned me, Blackjack, I was cursing you because this is like like possibly my least favorite pick four I have ever put together. Like this sequence is awful just because there's so many, like this race, for example, is just like bottom of the barrel Archie breads. Just throw a dart.
As an Archie bred, I take offense.
I'm sorry, but I just call a spade, man. Like, I don't know. I mean, so hopefully we can work together on this pick four because the one that I created was like $108 or something. So we got to whittle that down. But I put the 12 on top. Missed check mark for Timothy Martin with the blinkers going back on for Jareth Loveberry. I mean, that first race wasn't anything to write home about. Finished third, beaten by like 10 lengths. So, at least the horse had an out already. It was here at Oaklawn, same level. I don't know. I'm hoping this one can step it up a little bit. There's been a lot of local works here, so the horse is well prepared. So that one's on top for me. The 7, Amazing Lace, I put in there for Ingrid Mason, who's off to like a little bit of a slow start right now. She's only winning at 5%, but she's typically a trainer that you see do very, very well for the Oaklawn Park meet. So I like that filly. She's got the blinkers on here. She's had one race already. It was a Delta Down. And it was recent too, right? January 5th, not too long ago. So I think that horse certainly is in the mix. And then the 4 horse is Lady Astrid for Robert Klein and Kelsey Haar. There's not a lot of good stats to go off of for first-time starters for the trainer. And I think if this filly goes out there and she is in front, then Kelsey should be in good shape because I typically typecast her a little bit as like a front-running rider. So if that's the case from this horse, which they put in a couple of good drills from the gate, which I'd like to see, and a few sharp drills too, sprinting. So I'm expecting some early speed from this horse. Then I think she could be up there for a little bit of the money. But honestly, like, again, throw a dart. This race was a tough one. I was hoping the 14 would be in, but not that easy. So
I was really interested in the 2, the reason being that it ran that opening weekend at Oaklawn where you had a pretty strong closer bias. Running back should want to be on the lead. You brought up another horse I really like, the Kelsey Haar and Robert Klein. Robert Klein always puts his fiance up on the good mounts, and also I always look for Archie breds starting without Lasix and maiden races. So you pretty much covered everyone that I was interested in, especially Ingrid adding the blinkers too.
Yeah, it just seems like it seems like Ingrid's gonna step up here. I just think she's off to a slow start, but you're gonna see those horses start firing away and getting in the winner's circle here shortly.
What do you think about the firsters here, Megan? Because we've got a bunch of them here, and you're gonna get prices on them. I mean, if any of them can come in. You've got you mentioned the 4 Lady Astrid, but the 9, 10, and 11, you're catching it at 19, 8, and 17 to 1 respectively. Any of those pique your interest?
This is where I've ridden horses for over 20 years of my life. So like the physical look is really important to me when handicapping. So I actually am glad that this is the first race of the sequence because you can take a look at the horses in the paddock and the post parade and the warm up and maybe make some opinions there with the firsters. It's really hard to say. There aren't a lot of trainers in this particular group that do well with horses first off the bench. And so it's hard to take one of those knowing that, like Paul Holtis, again, off to a slow start, 0 for 13 with first time starters. I kind of agreed with Chase there with the Lady Astrid being the only firster that I really gave a look to. Robert Klein's certainly a pretty good conditioner, again, off to a slower start as well, but there aren't any others that I gave a look to. Brett Calhoun is a trainer that I really like, and him with the 10 there, I'd like to see move forward. But again, he only wins at 9%. The workouts have been very slow leading up to this spot, and maybe they're just trying to put a little bit of stamina in the horse, but I don't know. And then there's 0% chance I'm taking that 11 horse. So I think the 5's the only one or the 4, pardon me, is the only firster I'm looking at.
All right, let's take a look at the second leg here, race 3. This race may be a little bit different. I mean, I think you've got I look at this race and I see the 1 and the 2, right? I mean, Miss Alphabel and Ambitiously Placed, Jason Barkley yet again at much shorter price here. Megan, what did you make of the 3rd at Oaklawn?
Pretty much on the same thought as you. I took the 2 on top, Ambitiously Placed for J Bark and Florent Giroux. This horse coming off a little bit of a layoff. I think he's been pretty well prepared. Nice, steady work tab. Times have been good. I also like the speed from this horse coming in from the rail. I like the fact that at least we've got some distance experience. You know, it certainly seems like this is a horse who appreciates a little bit more real estate. So you're going to get that here. They've tried the horse sprinting a few times, but the results haven't been quite as good as going a mile on the 16th at Ellis Park and Churchill Downs. So 2's on top for me, 2-1. And honestly, maybe this is the race where I can shorten up that ticket and just kind of trust in J Bark and hope for the best. The others I looked at were the 1A Quiet Surprise for Jean Jacot and Gonzalez. You know, you're getting the class drop here, so you try to look at a horse like that and say they're going from maiden special weight, granted at Remington Park, to the bottom of the barrel here at Oaklawn. So I thought that, you know, you could give that horse a bit of a look just because of the class drop and the distance experience, which is something that I gave a look to in here. You got plenty of horses that are coming over from, you know, different surfaces. You've got a synthetic horse, a turf horse in here, quite a few others. So it's really the 2 on top for me, possibly the 1A. I didn't know what to make of the 3 and the 6 though. You know, like if you wanted to try to take a longer price, do you look there? I mean, the 3's coming off a pretty long layoff for the coach and getting Lasix for the first time, the 4th career start, obviously. And then the 6 Omni 10 for Gennaro Garcia is a horse that's done well, albeit on turf. So I think, you know, this is one where you can kind of talk yourself into quite a few horses, but I'll likely take the 2 and just pray. Chase,
what do you got here?
I'm in on the 2. I like that it's got the rail post draw because of the 1 being a couple entry 1 and 1A. The addition of Lasix is big. I feel like that might, you know, give the horse a little bit of help trying to take this field gate to wire. I really think it's more than likely going to go 2-1 if I'm playing this in a multi-ticket strategy, which I'm not in my pick 4, but so I don't have these horses. But I liked the 3 and the 5, which I believe you mentioned the 3 for coach, and then the 5 lyricist. I like seeing extremely lightly raced horses in these cheap claimers. I'm not a big fan of horses that are trying to get their first score after about 10 times is usually when I say
17 times the charm. It's not your thing.
Yeah, exactly. I will take those shots. Don't get me wrong. I will take those shots if there's a setup or something, but usually it's just a see you later. So, but yeah, very much in agreement with the 2. I feel like this 2 should get on the lead, and if Flo can maybe you know, do what Flo does and, you know, strangle that horse just a little bit and keep it relaxed on the front end, it could have plenty in the tank for the kick home.
Blackjack, did Jason text you about this horse? Or?
No, Jason hasn't texted me anything.
Okay,
Jason
good, because he didn't text you about the first winner, so I feel like that's
Jason is very quickly going on a list of mine. All right, Megan, let's look at the 3rd leg here, the 4th race. This one, you know, the Asmussen horse here is going to be your morning line favorite. I think he'll be the favorite when it goes off. Pepper Pike, the 6. I know Chase likes the 9 Urbanite. What do you see here?
I think it's Pepper Pike, likely. You know, this horse is fresh coming into this race, and at least has been competitive at these levels. Like, we know this horse fits at the 20 non-3 now level, and comes out of a race that's very similar. But you do have a few horses that are coming in from some of those allowance optional claiming races. So I think you have to be wary of the class droppers in a spot like this. So Pepper Pike, definitely the horse to look at. Have a plan, the 7 for Tom Amos and Florent Giroux, who do excellently together. They win at like 43% or something like that. This is a horse that I kind of gave a look to, moving from turf to dirt, which seems to be an angle that Tom Amos is very, very good at. Needs something to run at for sure. Needs a little bit of help on the front end. But I actually thought that this might be a good spot for this horse. So at 8-1 for those guys, I would consider putting that one in your play if you're looking to make a little bit more cash. So I'm on the 7 horse in there. Looked at the 12 on the outside, Polar Wind for Federico Villafranco, who just started off the meet with a bang. I mean, it just seems like horse after horse he's got out there, he came to play. You know, this horse didn't really have a lot going in California. This is the first time that we're going to see this horse racing in the Midwest or the South. So I don't know what we're going to see. You know, it was previously trained by Cliff Seiss and had some early races that showed some promise, some starter allowance wins, but I'm wary of that horse. I don't know if it can stand up to the Steve Asmussen in here, but it is one that I considered. You talked about the 9 Urbanite, Chase. I mean, I kind of gave this horse a little bit of a look too, just because of the races at Churchill Downs, and this horse has obviously been popular with a bunch of different trainers and seems to bring his race whatever barn he's in, which is certainly a positive. But I kind of went back and forth on him. I thought about him, put him in, took him out, did one of those. So if he comes in, I'll certainly kick myself for that.
I think that Pepper Pike and Urbanite are both going to get the same sort of pace set up. You have a lot of speed outwardly drawn in this race in the far outside posts. I think that they're more than likely going to go hard from that wide post to try to get in, get to the rail, and get to the lead. And so I think it's these horses like Pepper Pike, Urbanite, and then also the 12, Polar Wind, I like quite a bit as a horse that can maybe tuck in and kind of get a pocket trip behind that early speed and have first run at it. But yeah, I feel like it's going to be, they hit the turn and then game on with all of these late moving horses.
And there's so many horses too that, are getting quite a bit of class relief. Even the one off the meds for Ingrid Mason too, right? Has been racing against those allowance optional claiming horses at Hawthorne. You've got the 3 Gemmo Rain, who was overmatched last time, but I think is actually very competitive at this kind of claiming rank. And then even the 11 horse you could look at as well. Marquis Thunder for Chibrano Contreras, who comes in with a bit of speed here and at least has some good races that have been run on the front end. So you're going to get some speed from that one. So I thought that this was maybe a little bit more of a spread race if you didn't want to put all your eggs in one basket with the Asmussen against some of those class droppers. So, kind of begging for a price for race 4.
Yeah. I went 6-7. I'm with you, Megan. I do like the Amos horse here. Him and Giroux are very good together, as you mentioned. I mean, they're 43% together over the last year. So they're very good. All right, let's look at the last leg here, the 5th race. I alled this. I think this race is pretty wide open. How do you see it, Megan?
I got the 5 on top, War Detonator for J Bark, hoping he's got a big day today. First time gelding for this horse. He's just on a war front, and he comes off of a race back in November where he ran a pretty good first, and he was favored that day against the maiden 40s. Claimed out of that, in fact. That was a pretty savvy claim by Jason. He's 24% first off the claim, which is a pretty good number for him. Mm-hmm. And I think this horse is relatively adjustable, likely is more comfortable on the front ends, but I think might be tractable enough to sit the trip just behind with that middle post position. And then I put the 2 in there, Wild Union for Brad Cox and Florent Giroux, because how could you not? The one question mark
can't leave off the Flo Cox.
I mean, you just can't. But the distance is the question mark for me. Like, I just drew a line through that last race, a mile on the turf. This is clearly not a turf horse, and he's hired by Bayern, so like he should be able to go longer on the main track, in which he has. But how about 6 furlongs here? So I wasn't sure if this was a move where, sometimes trainers put horses in sprinting to get a race in them, to get enough fitness, and then they stretch them back out. But I think that Brad Cox is here to win the training title at Oaklawn Park this year. So, I mean, he knows where the money is. He's putting Flo on. So it could go one of 2 ways, in my opinion. The 4 horse All Eyes West for Safi Joseph, who doesn't send a ton of horses here, so he's being very particular with placing this one. Gets the blinkers off, gets David Cohen, who's a great rider, and then the 3 box of chocolate for Steve Asmussen, 5-2 in the morning line for me. But I actually had this horse behind the rest of them.
So, it's a well-known handicapping philosophy that blinkers, you might add a couple lengths in speed. What do you feel man buns do to horses in regards to the Safi Joseph horse? I always believe that the man bun costs 2 or 3 lengths.
Okay, I can't say that I've collected enough data on that to really give you a good stat there.
I got spreadsheets and graphs. I'll email later.
Okay, I figured. But what about beards? Like, what about this? You've done a few of these on the broadcast. So, like, what does the beard do for the horses?
I mean, for one, that's just confidence right there. If I'm being trained by a man with a beard, I know he's not to be messed with, and that I better do what he says.
Absolutely.
Even if I'm a horse and don't necessarily understand the complexities of the English language.
You understand
I can't think of a trainer with like a good beard. Can you?
No.
Like, are there any out there?
But he doesn't.
Yeah.
Asmussen lets it go a little bit.
It's more about the flow.
Yeah,
Peter Miller's got the soul patch.
Well, yeah, the little.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little something. Yeah, I don't think there's any beards out there, man. So maybe you should try your hand at training. See
There we
if you're
go.
onto something.
I'll accomplish it by just giving horses stern talking tos. No exercise, no special diet plan. I'll feed them. Don't get me wrong, but
Okay.
just a hey.
It's an emotional training.
You're just like the
experience.
hype man. That's
Yeah.
all. Okay, I got
I'd like to see Bob Baffert grow a big white beard like Chase does. I think that'd be a hell of a.
Amazing.
You
Oh
think
my
he
gosh.
can't grow it?
I don't think he can. I don't think he can grow a beard. If he did, it would
Fighting
be
words.
it would be just silver and glorious. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he'd probably have a pretty good Santa Claus flow, but I don't think so. I'm going to say that man can't grow a beard.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
That sounds like a challenge has just been issued to Bob Baffert. I know he's man enough to accept it.
Now you're going to be on the lookout for a trainer with a beard.
Sure
When
am.
you
Yeah.
see one, be like,
I
this
sure
guy.
And I'll tell you what,
Let's tell Jason Barkley to grow a beard.
I'm dumb enough that I'm going to bet it as soon as I see it.
Oh, 100%. That's the new hunch play.
So I'm gonna bet my top opinion here with the 2, play it to win, and then I've got a little 2-4, 2-4-7 exacta going.
Okay.
Yeah, I went 2-4-12 here in the pick 4. I posted it down there at the bottom. They are loading in the gate here.
I also put together a ridiculous superfecta that I sent over to Blackjack. I'm not even going to waste my time losing you guys with all the numbers I'm about to say. So
That's what I thought when I saw it.
How have you guys been doing at Oaklawn so far?
Well,
Has this been a good track for you?
Generally, Megan, Oaklawn is a house of pain for me. But last week I did hit the pick 5, $90 ticket for $1,800. So
Wow. All right. Well, that'll buy you a few more Hawaiian shirts.
damn right.
Yeah.
I
I didn't get the memo. I would have worn mine. You didn't tell me.
Megan, I never know what I'm going to wear.
yesterday.
I never know what I'm going to wear until the morning of, because I do everything in life based off of feel, So I
Okay.
walk in the closet and, there's sequins and there's all sorts of stuff at my disposal. Today
Yeah,
felt
I'm
like a
very
lawn
curious
chair.
to see. Like, you have quite the eclectic wardrobe. I'd like to see.
do.
Like, Bob Baffert's wardrobe, I imagine, is like white shirt, jeans, white shirt, jeans, white shirt, jeans, like with different sunglasses, But yours is like a whole jungle, I'm sure.
It is.
See, I had this theory that the top half is, sequin and sunglassed and a lot of cranial accessories, but the bottom half is super conservative. I'm talking like Dockers with pleats so deep they could be pockets.
You've made a crucial mistake. You've assumed there is a bottom half.
Oh, okay.
Spotless white New Balances.
No, brother. You haven't seen my shoes. No. The shoes have sequins too.
I have a pair of sequin shoes.
There you
You can
go.
wear those the next time we're at the track.
Absolutely.
The 7 showing a ton of speed with the first time blinks.
Where's our 4 and 12?
You're ahead of me. This is always my favorite part about doing these. live streams.
Every time.
Just go ahead and call the race.
Kelsey
Every time.
moves late. I like to see her making these kind of late moves.
We get the 2 and the 7 going at it head to head here. As they hit the turn, the 4 is going to be about halfway down the track trying to make a move. Unless the 1's got something.
Look at
here.
these guys.
The 2
Game.
and the 7 are just, they're playing
And the
bumper
rider,
cars
to be
too.
fair, the rider hadn't even really moved on that 2-horse.
Come on, damn it. Oh, is this 4 got anything? Come on, 4.
That horse is going to get up.
Yep. got
Hey!
it. All right. Ooh, okay. 5
I'm
to
like
1, lady.
mid-stretch right now, so let me just have my delayed reaction.
Megan, you were on Lady Astrid.
Well, get ready. It gets real exciting pretty soon. I think I might have gotten the exacta there
Yay!
if 7 hung for second.
Megan,
There
that
you
was your call there. So that was
Ingrid Mason, man. I felt like that was this is an uncharacteristically slow. See, I spent a whole meet down at Oaklawn in 2016, and that was right before Oaklawn popped with all these trainers coming there and everything. Like there were some, Asmussen obviously was there and some others, but it was like Ingrid Mason land. I mean, she just was winner after winner after winner. So I know she does extremely well when she's at this track, and obviously now with so many different trainers and so many different barns, you've got a lot more competition, but in races like this, she holds her own for sure.
So you said you spent a whole meet down at Oaklawn. Tell me your impressions of Arkansas.
I'm a New
Be
York
honest.
girl.
Yep, be honest.
How honest can I be?
Very. Very.
No, I mean, here's the thing. Like I don't think I was like, it was talked up to me. Everyone was like, "You're gonna love it! Like, it's the best place. It's the Saratoga of the South." And I feel like my opinion was a little bit different than that. If nobody had said anything to me going down there, I would have been like, "Oh, this place is okay," you know. But like there was no good restaurant to eat in, really. There's like 3, maybe 2. And everybody tries to be an Italian restaurant, and I just don't know that they know what Italian is, you know?
There's no
And
good
so like and it's a lake town in this winter time. Like, what do you want? You know? And you can't even use the lake because they have the water level down so low. So like that's not even an appeal to it. You can only go hiking so many times, you know? And then there's like 10 people in the most crowded bar. Everybody just goes to the bad karaoke bar right down the street. So I don't know. I mean, like I was really into I think the hot springs are pretty gross, but I was into the whole like mobster history that was there. That was pretty cool. And like the racing was neat. So
did they have indoor plumbing when you were there?
I think so. Yeah.
Chase is just hurt.
Chase was like all right with me until you just set me up with that question. Like, why'd you have to ask me that? No, to be fair, I really like the track. I really like the people at the track, and the fact that I haven't been since they had a casino. And mind you, I've spent the last couple of years like as going to Vegas almost every other weekend. So the fact that they have a casino now that I can play blackjack at, like, I'm excited. I'm actually going there next week. So I'll let you know how I feel about it, giving it a second try.
Please do.
So yeah, that's we'll see if my opinion changes. Chase, maybe you can let me know the restaurants that are edible to eat at, and
edible.
Those I can
Edible.
You know, like not have to order from Kroger.
Oh man. Yes, let me know. I'll put together a list of things
A list of decent restaurants.
Yeah.
Having been with Chase for a few weeks on here, Megan, he's taking you to Wendy's. That's all Chase has got is Wendy's.
Oh, well.
Yeah. I'm actively
right.
courting Wendy's for a endorsement by the Wendy's Baconator. I've been trying.
Okay.
I'm really trying to get that. I'm probably next time is gonna be like a NASCAR suit, and I'm just gonna sell off spaces for patches, Ricky Bobby style.
Okay. I like it.
Megan, you mentioned that you spent a lot of time in Vegas. I have as well. I love Las Vegas. What are some of your favorite spots in Vegas to hit? Because the more time I spent in Vegas, the less time I found myself spending on the Strip. What's your go-to spots there?
Well, so are we talking casinos? Are we talking like bars? What are we talking
Give me
about?
all
What's
of it.
our goal for?
Give me the whole thing. Give me your favorite casinos,
right,
your favorite restaurants, places to go drink.
Oh gosh, there's so many. There's so many good restaurants. I mean, Joe's is obviously got to be up there, right? Joe's Stone Crab was there like every other week. Gotta love it. And then there's a real Italian place in old Vegas. Is it the M? Is that it?
The D.
Have you
It's
been
at
there?
the D.
The D. There you go. Yep. I was thinking M, Megan, MD. So that's a great place to go. They also have this like craft cocktail place in Container Park. It's been a few years. I'm hoping it's still there. But if you've never been to Container Park, it's pretty cool. They got that like weird grasshopper thing that like shoots up the fire or whatever when it gets late. But they make these amazing old fashions there that are like super weird craft cocktails that you love. So that's a good spot to go to. I'm a big fan of the Cosmo's, probably like my favorite hotel, just because you got to love those suites that overlook the fountains and everything. And similarly, if you've never been, you want to see the fountains, eat at Mon Ami Gabi. It's in Paris and it overlooks the fountains, which is pretty cool. So that's a good spot to go to, and they've got fantastic French food. Oh my gosh, there's so many. It's hard to pick them. Gosh, there was one that I really liked though, that a casino that I'm gonna think of it now. I've been too many places that they're all blurring together.
I've only been to Vegas once. It was in fourth grade, and it's for what's known in my family as the worst Christmas ever.
Okay.
I mean, you're going to have to tell us more.
I mean, yeah, that's a story.
my dad got big into shooting craps at the Harrah's in Tunica, Mississippi, and he got all sorts of comps just that they were only while Christmas was happening, and so he packed us up and he took us to Las Vegas for Christmas. Yeah,
your dad is my favorite kind of degenerate.
Yeah. So why was it so bad?
I mean, I was 10. Like, imagine all of the fun stuff that happens in Vegas, then imagine not being able to do any of it.
I mean, Vegas is a family town, brother. I don't know what
it actually is a family town, though. I mean, the outskirts of Vegas, there's so many parks and everything. Like, there's so many nice housing developments that they have put up there. There's a lot. Henderson is awesome. Mm-hmm. Really underrated. There's a restaurant there that's called Bloom that you have to go to next time you're in Vegas.
Dan Sessoms was tethered to the craps table, so we didn't make it to the outskirts of town.
We didn't make it to the family.
I'm a big fan of the outskirts. I like Summerlin a lot. Great Cajun restaurant out there, Lola's, one of my favorite restaurants I've been to. Great Cajun food. But I've found myself spending more time in downtown Vegas. Mm-hmm. I kind of like dirtbag Vegas, It's I don't need like
it's really fancy. Is that on brand for you? Like, is that okay to say?
Oh yeah, it's definitely on brand. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned the D. I love the D. Derek Stevens, the guy who owns it, great guy. I mean, he's what you want. He's like an old school Vegas guy. He sits down at the Long Bar every night with his wife, talks to people, very accessible, great guy, and he's just built the Circa out there, which I am.
I want to go to for sure. Let's make a trip here.
I'm trying to put a little March Madness trip together.
All right. Well, you let me know. The only thing about the D though is after having dinner at that restaurant that was fabulous, I don't remember the name of. We went downstairs to play a little blackjack, and it is the kind of like, if you've never been to Vegas, like your mom who's never been to Vegas's opinion of Vegas and like, I don't want to go to Vegas. Like, that's kind of what the D is though. Like, there were like really sad looking like hostesses dancing on top of tables.
Yeah, there are.
Like, but like it wasn't fun.
It's not what you
for anybody involved.
Hollywood when they're dancing on a table.
It just there was a lot.
Yeah.
So it definitely fits the bill for like, yeah, like you said, like douchebag Vegas.
Listen, that is.
I like a little bit more of a classier Vegas. I mean,
that figures. You're a classy lady.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That moniker does not apply to me. I think you don't know yourself until you've watched the sunrise at the El Cortez.
Okay, there you go.
And you can smell the cleaning solvent that they're putting out, and it's just you do some real soul searching.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Chew on a few peyote buttons, take a walk into the desert.
I mean, listen, if the shoe fits.
No, speaking of the desert, though, the Valley of Fire there is awesome if you haven't been.
And that's something I always tell people when people ask, like, I'm going to Vegas for the first time, what should I do? I tell them to rent a car because, like, you should drive. Like, get out of Vegas for a day and drive around. It's gorgeous. Like, it's a beautiful place. In terms of scenery, the mountains are great. Yeah. The desert is beautiful. There's a lot to see there. Big thing.
A couple of my buddies from On the Wrong Lead qualified for the NHC last year, and one of them just went to tail along, have a good time. And while everyone was playing in the NHC, he rented a Lamborghini and was just cruising around, like everywhere in Nevada. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. You get the best parking too if you want to like. Yeah, no, it's a really fun town. I'm a big fan of Vegas. Miss it very much.
Yeah, I tell people all the time.
I think that was the hardest part of leaving California, actually.
Yeah, it's been the hardest part of this pandemic for me is I haven't been to Las Vegas in over a year, and it's like I usually get the itch like every 3 months, and it's been brutal. So I'm trying to get back out there in the next month or two.
You should see a doctor, man, because they make a cream for that.
You're an idiot. If you can't have a good time in Vegas, that's a you problem. I mean, there's anything.
Yeah, no, I agree for sure, 100%.
So, all right, so let's see what's going on here at Oaklawn. How long we got here?
We got
My
16
video
minutes.
player is frozen, so you guys tell me.
16 minutes. So I'm alive here with the 1 and the 2. I mean, I think we all agree those are the most logical ones here. We'll see. I mean, maybe D Wayne can get one on the board here. If I lose this race, I hope it's to the 3 because I can't be mad if Wayne Lucas gets a win.
Yeah.
He's
Agreed.
taking that Oaklawn coach money right now too.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of want to see him win, right? Like, it's nice to see Wayne get one. All right, so
you guys froze.
whoa, are we back? Can you see us?
You're good. You're back.
Okay. So Megan, this has been an odd, obviously, year and a half now. Had the Kentucky Derby in September. Now we're going to have it again in May.
Yeah.
I mean, we're starting to get on that trail now. We've got the Sam F. Davis tomorrow. Florida Derby, Tampa Derby. Those are all coming up in the near future. Is there any 3-year-olds that have stuck out to you so far?
I think it's still so early, in my opinion. I mean, Colorado River was a really impressive one, but that was a bad field too, right?
Yep.
I mean, so I think there's been a lot of bad fields. Like I don't know that there's been a race that I'm like, wow, a lot of those horses we'll see in the Derby. There hasn't really been a lot of competitiveness, in my opinion, in some of the Derby trails races. And then like the Withers coming up, I think is just none of those horses are going to be in the Derby. In my opinion.
I wouldn't sell Cap O'Kane short. I really like that. I think that horse has got a little something to it.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. A lot of people like that horse, actually. I do a podcast called The Horse Racing Happy Hour, and we just recorded yesterday. And one of my co-hosts really likes that horse and made a good point too. Like if that horse was with Chad Brown or Todd Pletcher, that horse would have been 9-5. You know what I mean? Like with his record, right? But the fact that he's with Harold Weiner is why you'll probably get a little bit of a price on him if you do. But yeah, to me that it's just a little boring. Like you've got the Pletchers, you've got the Chad Brown in there. I don't know. Not my favorite Derby trail or Derby race, Derby prep race that we're going with. But I mean, Tampa should be nice. I like the racing at Tampa in general. I know Blackjack, I think you and I differ on that. But yeah, I don't think we see many Derby winners coming out of there either. It's just I like to play it, so I'm excited for the day of racing more so than like starting to make my opinions for Derby winners.
You talk, obviously you're very in tune with the California circuit. Do you think the Concert Tour is the best that Baffert's going to have this year?
So far, I mean, I really liked what I saw from him handicapping that race. I watched the workouts for both horses, both of his horses on XBTV, and the most recent work for what's the other horse's name? Freedom Fighter, right? I'm not looking at the PVs. So Freedom Fighter put in a nice drill, like under a serious freaking hold, like being strangled 4 furlongs, and had a very good time to it and did it very easily. But then Baffert's kind of used him as like the target horse for a lot of others, and I watched back like the second to last replay, third to last of his workouts, and just was very disappointed in what I saw. But the great thing, if you get a chance to go back and watch it, or you watch our show from yesterday for the Horse Racing Happy Hour where we talk about it, is the last work that that Concert Tour was in, he got caught up in some traffic. And Bob is a trainer that has a walkie on every single one of his horses, every single one of his riders, right? So, some riders have to make the judgment call in the morning if you get caught up in traffic, like, do I hold or do I go, and that can be very tough. And this horse, there's a Mandela horse coming around the outside. He was in company. He was on the inside, and he sees the horse on the outside. And at this point, like Bob could have been like, hey, just, don't let him do too much. Right. Horse just naturally on his own. And I'm sure Bob said, go on with him, sees the horse on the outside, is able to push forward and be competitive with that horse. Then there's a horse on the inside that he's got to weave around. He catches that one. He gallops out like a freaking monster. So I just thought from like preparation for a young horse, that to me was really impressive and works, and physical look is something that I use very heavily in my handicapping. So I think he's the real deal, at least for tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's a horse that if you like in the Kentucky Derby at this very early juncture, you can get at a lot of sports books at like 16-1 right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you can get quite the value there. And Megan, our friend Mark DiLorenzo, Dilo, he calls, he's fond of calling some of Bob's horses Ivan Drago horses because they're monsters.
Yeah.
Concert Tour kind of has a little of that feel to me. I don't know.
Yeah. At least right now, for sure. I mean, I think I like him more than I like a Medina Spirit. From what I've seen, just physically, I think he's the top of the barn right now.
I was not impressed with Medina Spirit and the Robert B. Lewis. I honestly felt like Hot Rod Charlie was the real horse that I want going forward. You've ridden more horses than I, but it seems like whenever you have these younger horses, that when you get into like a three-way battle down the stretch, it's usually that horse in the middle that's going to be the first kind of retreat. And I feel like that was kind of Hot Rod Charlie's trip right there. I've got a 57-1 shot here at Aqueduct that I'm gonna try to play.
Attaboy, go get it.
The
one thing I'll say about Medina Spirit is that I think that race, and Bob was quoted as saying he's not as tired as I thought he'd be or something like that, because the horse should have been very tired. If you actually watch, he switched leads too early in the turn. So he switched over to the right lead, and he's coming down the stretch around the final half of that turn, and then on the stretch on the same leg. So the fact that he was as game as he was on a tired leg, I thought actually gave him a lot of credit, in my opinion. Although I still wouldn't put him at the top of my list. I thought at least he was really gutsy, and I think it'll take him a little longer to bounce back out of that race because of that, because it took a lot out of him. But if anything, he's going to be more competitive moving forward. And he showed us that he's got grit, which, when you're talking about Derby horses, you've got to have that competitive edge to them mentally, as long as he can figure out the lead thing. Because if he does that every time, then that's going to be a problem. But it worked out for him.
Kind of have to take note of Roman Centurion out of that race too, because it's a horse that made up a lot of ground late. And as we talked about the whip rules earlier, we won't have to rehash that, of course. But a horse, with Santa Anita, with the change in rules, I've really liked, early running styles. And that was a horse that made up a good little bit of ground late. And I really think that's worth note over that track.
Sure. Yeah, I agree.
Megan, let me ask you something else, because this is a topic that I've had conversations with a lot of people on. The Eclipse Awards recently. Authentic was your horse of the year. I mean, whatever. I thought it was a travesty that Swiss Skydiver wasn't nominated for that award. I admit that I have probably a bias against Improbable, not his biggest fan. I will give him credit. 4-year-old campaign was better than I expected it to be. But when I weigh what Swiss Skydiver did, that campaign that Kenny McPeak put her on was an old school type of campaign. That horse ran, 10 times in 12 months at 9 different racetracks. Yeah. She won the Preakness against Authentic. I discount the Breeders' Cup because, she had a terrible start out of that. What's your take on how that went down?
That's probably my main issue with the Eclipse Awards, is I feel like it's Breeders' Cup Part 2, what I don't think it should be a lot of the time. And not all the time, but a lot of the time. I feel like it's just, if you win the Breeders' Cup, why don't we just do it the next day after the Breeders' Cup? Because nothing's going to change. So I thought it was a total snub that she wasn't even included in that conversation. I agree with you. I think it should have come down to her and Authentic. And Authentic, he had a really good campaign as well. The horse, he's got a great record. You got to give him that. And so I won't take that away from him, but I at least think it should have been between the two for that.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't put if you start with the premise that Authentic is going to be your winner, which I can't really criticize. He won the Kentucky Derby, he won the Breeders' Cup.
Won the Breeders' Cup Classic, yeah, exactly. And plenty of other grade ones too, right?
There's the Haskell, right. There's not a lot there to criticize. But if you start with that premise that he's your horse of the year, how do you not put the horse that beat him in the same conversation?
And it wasn't just she beat him and it was a one-time thing. That was her big race that she popped in. She had a great campaign the entire time. And finished, she faced the boys again in the Bluegrass, right? And she finished in the minor placings there. It wasn't just we'll try this and see if it works out. We got lucky at 20-1 or something. It wasn't like that. She had a good sustained campaign at, like you said, multiple tracks, multiple graded stakes races, multiple times against the boys. And the fact that she doesn't even get included in that conversation is ridiculous.
As a proud girl dad, I was really excited when Swiss Skydiver won the Preakness. And I came out, I was like, kids, wife, guess what? A filly just won the Preakness. No one cared.
Anything can happen.
No one cared.
It happens.
It's a big year. Big year.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, though. I think that was pretty disappointing, all things considered.
So Megan, you mentioned your podcast, The Horse Racing Happy Hour. Tell people a little bit about that.
For sure. So I was a guest on it a couple of times, and as I do, here we are. But so these two guys from Louisville, Kentucky, who they don't work in the industry. One's a insurance guy, and the other guy's a real estate guy, but love horse racing. And one is more of like a casual kind of go to the track, bet, have a good time, day at the races kind of guy, and the other guy's like a total degen. And so they had this podcast, and they had done a couple of local things. They covered the Derby for one of the local stations as well, and they had me on as a guest a couple of times, and we just vibed. I mean, the whole premise of the show is like, we're going to sit down at a bar, talk about horses, and have a drink. There's a lot of serious handicapping that goes on with it, but it's also just what horse racing should be. Yeah, exactly. It's what you do when you go to the track with a bunch of friends. Like I've got a bunch of great guys that I know from the Tito's group. And like when we go to the track, that's all we do is go at one another about why you like this horse or why that's stupid or whatever, and have a couple of drinks. And so that's what our show is essentially. It's on all of the podcast platforms, so Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, or whatever. We're just now going on to Twitch, which is really exciting. So we did our first recorded show yesterday. Yeah, so go where no horse racing podcast has gone before. And so it's a great time. The guys are awesome, and we covered the Derby and the Breeders' Cup for ESPN Louisville this year, which was pretty exciting for the pre and post game. We have a great time. So we enjoyed it. I highly recommend that you guys tune in.
So someone just asked me in comments if I think the 2 here at Oaklawn Park is of value. Honestly, I'm willing to accept that 9 to 5. I put together a little playbook for myself every single day with what minimum price I'm willing to accept on a horse. And with this 2, I actually said I would take as low as 7 to 5 on it. So really? At 8 to 5, it's value. Any horse that I feel is a lock. I know a lot of people feel differently, but any horse I feel is a lock, even money or better, I think is value.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I mean, I think that's something that a lot of people hurt themselves with. Like, don't not pick a horse because it's the favorite if it's gonna if it's the best horse in the field. I mean, that's just, first of all, you're gonna cost yourself so much money in those multi-race tickets, but you're also just gonna shoot yourself in the foot every time. Like, a win is a win. Just move forward off of that, even if it's the chalk. I think we go after a lot of horse players or people do on Twitter a lot of the time because they take the chalk, but it's, sometimes you just have to. And sometimes tracks are very chalky, i.e. Santa Anita and some others, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. Like, you get what you get. I can't create the fields. I can't create the odds. So I agree with you. I think you got to set your price and figure out what's the get out point on that. But if you have a strong feeling about it, don't change it just because the price got a little low on you.
And I also think that there are just so many little things that you can do to pull value out of a chalky favorite. I think if you have a chalky favorite that you feel is going to just crush the field, well, it's time to start handicapping for second place and see if there's a big boy exacta you can put together, or even just a couple of longer shots that you can wheel in underneath and try to turn an 8 to 5 into a 10 to 1 with a trifecta.
Absolutely.
That's my feeling on them. Is a lot of people hate chalk. I welcome chalk because I love to smash vertical plays.
Can that be your quote?
Yeah. It does.
Smash vertical plays.
Just on the front, it will say, "I love to smash." ... on the back, vertical plays.
Absolutely.
Megan, you spent
surprised you guys don't have a merch line already.
Well, that we may after this. You lived in LA for a while. You a Dodgers fan?
I went to a couple of the World Series games, so that was exciting. Got to go to a few Dodgers games. So yeah, I like Dodgers. I mean, I grew up a hardcore Yankees fan up until the time I moved out of New York. It was no choice. That was the life I was given by my father. So it's hard for me to like another team, really. But yeah, I haven't followed baseball as much recently. I got more into hockey living on the West Coast and being a huge Golden Knights fan and going to almost every game. So I feel like that was my focus for a while outside of horse racing.
Well, the rich just got a little richer. The Dodgers just signed Trevor Bauer.
Okay.
So,
who's your team, Blackjack?
In baseball, I'm a Mets fan. Yeah, I have a very sad sports existence. I'm a Mets,
Are you a
Bills,
Jets
and
fan?
Knicks fan. No, Bills.
Okay.
So
Okay. Oh, that's
um,
yeah. Mm.
I've never seen a championship in my life.
No,
So
and you never will.
no, I do love the
Unless
Golden
that's where
Knights.
Tom Brady goes next, from the Bucks to
Right,
the Bills.
right. Maybe we can get like 48-year-old Tom Brady.
Yes, still gonna be great. It's fine.
To be fair, he looks way better than a 48-year-old George Blanda did, smoking darts on the sidelines.
You know, not to get on a tangent here, but I mean, Jesus, this is the greatest athlete we've ever seen in any sport. Like
Oh,
this,
for
it's, no,
Debatable.
no, I don't think it is.
What?
He's
How?
The greatest athlete,
years
the
old.
greatest. Let's think about what
Yes.
we're saying. We're forgetting
Yes,
that
I
a
know
person
what I'm
like
saying.
Bo Jackson existed. It's post time.
Excuse me.
Shut down your terrible argument.
I will go a step further and say he's the greatest American of all time. Okay,
Duh.
There's nothing to argue here. He's had more success in what he's done than any person in any other field.
But it doesn't. That doesn't mean he's the best athlete. It means he's the most successful football player.
Okay, Chase.
Regardless of what you think about it, the SNL did a skit recently. I don't know if you saw it. It was like, "What still works?" And it was like, the government doesn't still work. Like something else doesn't work anymore. But Tom Brady still works. Like Tom Brady
does.
is the only reason.
Sure does.
The only thing that we can rely on these days is like Tom Brady will get his team to the championship, regardless
That's
of
it.
what team it is.
That's it.
Like send him to the Bears, send him to like, whatever.
no
He's gonna
If I were him, I would just
send him to
change
the Jets.
teams. Yeah, just change teams every year, just to see what you can do.
Just be like the Breeders' Cup, just like bounce around.
Yeah, that's
you
it.
know, it's like
We got J Bark's horse ambitiously placed loose on the lead.
Yeah,
who is pulling against Flo as well. I'm probably
Uh-huh.
like 10 minutes behind you, but
yeah, he is pulling.
I like how the graphics have the 6 in front of the 2 though.
Yep.
That's my favorite part.
Yep, that's
Yeah,
It's
awesome.
really yeah. So we'll just
I mean, the
no,
one's
good, they
not in
fixed
a
it.
terrible spot if the one has anything.
if that's actually the one.
But 24 flat for the first quarter, not killing himself here.
And it looks like the
gonna
horse
step up a
relaxed a
little
little bit too, because Flo doesn't
Yeah, he
have the
did.
hammer lock on it.
48 and 4.
Here
for
comes
the half.
Coach's horse. Woo.
Oh my god. What did the 3 end up going off at? Oh, it's only 7-2. Okay. But still.
I mean, Flo's still not asking for anything here.
You got a long stretch though
Huh?
at Oaklawn.
They are coming. Oh, I don't love that. I don't love
Oh,
it.
he's pushing now.
And I don't know
Horse
that
has got his
he's...
head up a little.
Well,
If we
maybe
got to
he's
call it
got
from here, it's
something.
the 3 for sure.
This one might have something if he can get going. No, I don't think so.
No, it's the coach.
I had to say that I'd be okay if he beat me, right?
Yeah, for sure. Kiss
See,
of death.
this is what happens to me at Oaklawn. This is last
Is
week
it?
is the outlier. Like this is
Okay.
Oaklawn is a brutal track for me. But we've got this Arkansas
It's
boy
tough.
on here.
Well, and especially like I love turf racing, and the fact that we don't have a turf course, just like it's hard. It's hard to play Oaklawn all the time for that reason.
Yeah, why don't you have a turf course, Chase?
I don't.
Saratoga
guys
has a
can't-
turf course. If you're the Saratoga of the South, where's your turf
Yeah.
course though?
You can't grow grass in Arkansas?
Not that kind of grass.
All right. Megan, we're going to let you go. We appreciate the time. It's been
Absolutely.
fantastic, as always.
Yeah, have fun with you guys.
Tell everyone where they can find you, social media, anything you want to promote.
For sure. That's me right there. Megan Devine TV is where you can find me. I also have picks for Santa Anita on TVG's mobile app and website every day, mostly except for last Sunday when I forgot. You can find out and bet right there. And of course, listen to the Horse Racing Happy Hour and just reach out anytime. I also have my own company, VidHorse, and we do most of the videos that you see for my racehorse. And we've done a few others for like Starlight Racing and some sales and whatnot. So full steam ahead digital marketing agency over here. But mostly I'm just going to go play with my goats and chickens right now.
All right. Thanks, Megan. We appreciate the
On
time.
that note, you're welcome. See you guys.
All right, bye. What are you eating?
Nicotine gum.
Really? Is that for real?
Uh-huh.
Why are you chomping on nicotine gum?
Because if my wife catches me smoking again, I might not be alive for the next show, Blackjack.
All right. Well, good for you for quitting smoking. I'm a big fan of these little nicotine pouches, by the way.
Ooh.
No free ads. I'm going to cover that up, but I'm a big fan of those. Coffee flavored.
I might have to give that a little check out.
Yeah, you should. I've never tried nicotine gum, but you know.
It's exactly like it sounds. Delicious.
So Megan had some really informative things to say about Arkansas.
I'm glad I didn't listen to most of that. Oh man,
it was spot on.
I'm just
Mainly
gonna
that you have no restaurants with edible food.
Jeez, I'm just going to watch that later and just get angry. I'm gonna put it on. I'm gonna pull it up on my phone, watch the replay, and just throw bottles against a brick wall while it's on.
I mean, maybe you want to miss it because you might need a cigarette afterwards.
Yeah, per the comments here, I think I got torched. My hot springs got torched for what they're saying here in the comments.
Sure did.
East Coast elites.
You disagree, I take it?
I'm overall not a huge fan of hot springs. There's some cool spots. It's kind of like a kitschy. I don't know. I think what you being from like the Buffalo area, I would like put it akin to maybe like Niagara Falls, where it's got like its own little like kind of kitschy touristy things.
So
going.
Are you saying that hot springs isn't Arkansas enough for you?
Oh no, it is very Arkansas once you
Okay.
travel past the the strip, the Bathhouse Row and Oaklawn. Like it gets real Arkansas in a hurry. That is for certain.
Have you ever popped in one of those bathhouses?
No, I have not. I want to say my wife actually on her bachelorette party, they did like the full like bathhouse treatment, and they said it was pretty cool, but also really super awkward.
I think that at some point we need to do a show live from there.
From the bathhouse?
Yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah, I think that's going to have to happen.
I'll handicap horses from a mud bath. Why not?
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
I likes to keep it dirty.
Ooh, that just took a turn. So did you use the 3 in your pick 4?
I did not.
Okay, so we're both knocked out of this pick 4 and pick 5. If we're being honest here, I'm done with Oaklawn for the day. I'm sorry. This is what happens to me at this racetrack.
I've got some plays a little bit later that I like. I actually really liked this early part of the card. So, in the 4th, I might make a little play. I'm definitely going to make a play using War Detonator in the 5th, the other J Bark horse. Which I need to see if he's DM'd me on Twitter to be like, hey,
Jason Barkley screwed me twice today.
That I think we have a track that's not playing well to early speed because granted there was a couple races where we saw some pretty hot fractions early, but it kind of melted down and we had horses coming from off the pace. Flo was not going fast on that too, and really, it really kind of flattened out in the stretch. So, thinking about what I'm seeing and how I'm going to use it going forward, then I'm probably going to start placing a little bit more focused on off pace type horses.
We have a question here. What are you thinking race 5 and 6?
Race 5, I really like War Detonator. I had it as 5-2. Let me pull up the PPs again and take a look. But I really liked War Detonator. I feel like that's a horse that can win from off the pace. It's first off the claim, also first gelded, which for some people, gelded first off the claim is a little bit of a red flag for him. Mm-hmm. But I see some good focused workouts after taking the ultimate equipment change. And I think that it's a horse that's going to really benefit from running close to the lead, but not necessarily on the lead. I see a little bit of versatility where the horse can go forward. In the 6th, I really like Devil's Tower, the short leaf horse. That's another one that kind of, ran into a little bit of a track bias and had a super hot pace. Granted, we said that, these horses that are firing from the lead aren't really doing so hot today, but there doesn't really seem to be a whole lot of speed here. Another one I might consider is the favorite, Pizza Charlie. You could always take a chance on a first timer. I don't see anybody with that red flag starting without Lasix like Kelsey's Horror that got home in the second. But I mean, you always have to use Ramon Vasquez these days because he's so hot right now with the 6 appraisal. But I still think the Devil's Tower is going to be my top play there.
Okay, fair enough. I know you said that you're married to Oaklawn right now. I've been talking about how Oaklawn has been brutal to me. Do you have a track like that? Track that just kicks you in and,
Oh, I have my streaks where I can do pretty well. I'm a big track bias player, so I'm always watching the races and trying to figure out what I can glean, going forward for how it's playing. So if I can catch a bias, I can usually get on the right side of it. California tracks kick my butt sometimes, but I can snap out of it a little bit. I have my bouts with Gulfstream. If I don't have anything noticeable going on, Gulfstream can really drive me crazy. And right now, Turfway, I think Turfway is just beating everybody senseless.
I mean, dude, how many times has that pick 5 carried over during this meet? I mean, like it's just been, it's been crazy. I mean, you're throwing darts at that track, it feels like.
Yeah, I really don't have any sort of rhyme or reason to it. I was DMing with Barkley yesterday, and he really liked his horse in the final, and he was going off of more of like the physical cues of it's a really big horse. And I guess he said these really big horses, physically imposing horses are the ones that are doing well. Before they changed the surface, I was all over Turfway. I loved that track. It played reliably, and you could really kind of tell when it was going to flip to play a different way based on the temperature because of how it interacted with that all-weather surface. But right now, I can't even look at it.
Yeah, it's been tough. We get a question here from Stephen Fox. Wants to know, Chase, last year Oaklawn had a heavy speed bias. Any thoughts on whether it returns?
Yes, and I'll tell you exactly when it will return. It will be when they start running their big graded stakes fields. They'll get it scraped down to where it's fast because, and I feel like this happens with almost every big track in America, is that when you run into these big race weekends, one thing that generates buzz in the horse racing community is big, sexy buyers. And so they really kind of juice up the track to build it for speed. So, even with the King Cotton coming up tomorrow, which is a listed sprint stakes race, they might have that track juiced up for that one. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a little bit of a change tomorrow.
Now, when you say that, because I'm sure there's some people watching who may not know what you mean when you say they juice up the track. What do you mean by that? Explain it.
The track maintenance crew is going to doctor it in a certain way that's going to be more conducive to speed. And a lot of it has to do with specifically dealing with talking about dirt tracks like Oaklawn. It's a whole different ball game on turf because weather plays a big thing into it along with moisture. But a lot of it is the depth of the dirt. How deep and tiring is it? For example, by the rail. Usually a deep tiring rail, that's a track that's not going to play great to speed, unless you have a jockey who's smart enough to get out front and pick its path and stay off that rail. So I'm always a big proponent of just watch head-on replays as soon as the race is over, and then start looking at just their feet and look for splashes. Look and see if, a certain part of the track is really just like splashing up a bunch of dirt whenever they're running. That's kind of how I clue myself into it. But, they'll scrape it down. There won't be as much excess dirt sitting by the rail, and, you'll get a lot of speed. And a lot of people kind of confuse a speed bias track with a rail bias track, and usually they're kind of synonymous.
And when you say they're doctoring the track, there's nothing illegal. I mean, they're just
no, it's just
not against any rule. They're just
yeah,
it's kind of like when you hear that they let the grass grow longer at Soldier Field, right?
Right, exactly. It's not that they play favorites. It's just that they have certain things that they want to do well because it's good for the interest of the track And like you said, it's nothing illegal. It's nothing wrong with it. And some of it might even just be kind of natural course of maintenance. Like that's what they do on Thursdays. And so when they do that on Thursdays, it it makes a play difference. So that's kind of my take on it.
I like it. All right, Chase, let's start to wrap this up here. It's been a good show. Megan was excellent.
Yes, she was.
We've been very lucky. We've had great guests so far. We'll have to keep that train rolling. I have to mention tomorrow one more time because I'm coming to you as the reigning, defending, undefeated, undisputed Clash for Cash champion. And I'm putting that belt on the line tomorrow because I'm a fighting champion, Chase. That's who I am. I don't run away from challenges. I stare them right in the eye. Okay? And I'm defending it tomorrow against Bree Mott of Stable Duel at Tampa Bay Downs. We're going to be culminating this challenge 4 races in the Sam F. Davis Stakes tomorrow at Tampa. You'll be able to find it right here on all of our channels, my channel, ABR's. 3:15 p.m. Eastern, we will start. Do you have any words of advice for me as I head into this first challenge of 2021?
One would be handle it graciously whenever Bree beats you, because she's gonna just straight up sweep the leg. I think she's going to take a brother down. 2, whenever you're in that dark place of self-reflection after you lose, it's best to be comforted by the love of friends and family, maybe a good licensed social worker or counselor. And 3, it happens to all of us. We all lose sometimes.
How am I going to continue to do this show with you every week when you are actively picking against me in my greatest challenge so far this year?
I believe the answer to that is you will be able to do it beltless. I think that's how you'll be able to do it. Sans belt.
I want you to know something. When I win, and I will win, I have the certainty of that I will win. Next Friday is going to be painful for you.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Hey, man, I'll admit it when I'm wrong. It's like, it's like when Tom Brady, going back to the subject of Tom Brady, it's like when he got down huge to the Falcons. Whenever he actually came back and won it, I mean, at a certain point, you just have to appreciate greatness. So if you win, I will sit back and appreciate greatness.
Undefeated.
Well, so far.
Wow.
Good luck, buddy.
The screen is offensive.
Can I just go to a book somewhere and bet that you and Bree will both have fun? Can I take that easy way out?
Listen, I promise you this. If I lose, it will not be fun. It will not be fun.
Whatever happens, keep the fighting to actual wagers. Don't actually resort to blows. That goes for Bree also.
It's gonna, I mean, like literally, I say this with no, hyperbole. If she does manage to win, it's going to be absolutely brutal. Like Saturday night for me she will be relentless.
Yeah. I mean, after all the chin flapping you're doing, I would be pretty relentless also if I beat you.
I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I feel very confident about it. But the one thing, if there is one thing that gives me any pause, it's the fact that it's at Tampa, right? Because that can be a tough one.
Do you want some? I've had some decent little runs at Tampa recently. Do you want my word of advice?
Sure.
Play the early speed, early pressing horses on the turf. Those horses are doing really well. Even, if you can find just like a horse that will get loose up top or ones that will just kind of sit a trip right behind him, I would be speed on the turf.
I like it. All right. Thanks for the tip, brother. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. We'll be back next Friday with more Always Be Racing here. Chase will be back. We'll have more great guests. It's going to be fantastic. I will be back with the big gold belt, because it will stay right where it belongs, which is on my shoulder. We'll see y'all next Friday. Let's cash some tickets, Chase.
Let's do it, man.